Welcome, my friends, back to the fog. This is a world of death, pain, and fear. A world where those who seek to live must struggle and earn that right, as they are constantly stalked and hunted by the monsters of the mists. Of the survivors that continue to fight, one of them has learned to overcome adversity thanks to the struggles he overcame in his own past. Though he may appear as a loner and a stoic outcast, Jeff Johansen will never let anything bring him down, and he's not about to let his comrades down either. Jeff Johansen's past is a dark one. Born and raised in Ormond, Alberta, Jeff's parents were an unhappy couple who spent much of their time shouting, arguing, and throwing things. Jeff developed a shy and reserved nature, but he masked it with a stoic expression and a tough exterior that intimidated people around him as well as his teachers in school. While in high school, Jeff discovered heavy metal and grew a liking to it, even starting up a collection of vinyl records. More than just the music, the art on the covers of these records intrigued him, and soon he began doing his own design work, which served as a distraction from his parents' fighting. Jeff's first job was in a video store, where he had plenty of time to draw. He also received his first commission from a stranger who liked his work and asked him to do a piece for his gang at Mount Ormond Lodge. The Legion became his first commissioned painting, for which he was paid $50 and a 12-pack. It was a proud moment for Jeff, until the divorce was finalized. Jeff's mother took Jeff away to Winkler, Manitoba, miles away from his hometown and his father. Jeff suffered considerably from lonesomeness and in isolation, but his chance to escape that life came after high school when Jeff began working at a bar with live music performances. Joining a traveling band, he left Winkler and his isolation behind him for good. After an incident at a concert where Jeff nearly lost his eyesight, Jeff began to reevaluate his life choices. He decided to attend art school and focused on digital and oil paintings. He started a paid internship to perfect his craft and found his calling by designing labels for microbreweries. Through this, he was able to draw, as he loved to do, drink beer, which he also loved, and make commissions for albums of bands that he enjoyed. He even took in a rescue dog and got a part-time job as a tattoo designer. All was finally going well for Jeff, until he got a call that his father had passed away and he had to return to Ormond to sort out some final wishes. Waiting for him in his old home was a rustic black guitar with a note from his father simply saying, "For my boy." Heartbroken and lost in memories of his childhood, Jeff ended up staying in Ormond longer than he intended. He thought back on his first commission at Mount Ormond Lodge. He wanted to go up there and visit it again. But after weeks of not hearing from Jeff, his colleagues and friends just assumed grief had taken hold of him and he'd done something terrible to himself at that lodge. But no one knows the true story. That Jeff found far more than memories at Mount Ormond Lodge. Okay, so let me go ahead and say that there's something that I really like about Jeff. I don't want to say his story is just dark, because I feel that there are other survivors with even darker stories than his, but his story is certainly gritty. I like it though. It's not over the top with things like child abuse, neglect, drug addictions, or cheating spouses. I mean, there's no children in his life that walk out on him, no dying mother who has cancer, no wife who needs surgery. It's just a guy who went through a very real, very relatable set of struggles. I think that's a piece of us and all in Jeff, you know? I think that we can all relate to that. He's someone who felt isolated from the world around him and seeks an escape into his own dreams and aspirations. How many of you out there can honestly say that you don't kind of relate to that to some extent? Sure, maybe your parents aren't always arguing with each other, and sure, maybe you found other outlets besides drawing, but didn't you find some kind of outlet to escape some of the difficulties of your own life? Be it video games, be it stories, be it movies, be it friends. Whatever you did, I'm sure you went through some kind of struggle of your own and just wanted a way out, and that's kind of what Jeff is, which I really appreciate. I mean, his story is heavy, but it's not cheesy. The portion of his story where he thinks he's finally got his life figured out only to come home to see the guitar his father left him is probably my favorite piece of the Survivor lore. It's good. It's not too cheesy. I mean, I didn't expect it. It implies that perhaps Jeff's love for music came from his father, or perhaps his father got him the guitar thinking of him, implying that, despite us not knowing much about his relationship with his father, it was still something meaningful, and something Jeff might regret not fostering more. What I really appreciate, though, is that Jeff's life isn't an endless spiral. It's just a series of ups and downs, and I feel we can appreciate that. I mean, I, for one, see a lot of myself in Jeff, and I think that's why I enjoyed working with him these last few weeks. But okay. Enough about the lore. I know what you're actually here for. What about his perks? Well, Jeff's perks, for the most part, are actually pretty good. Jeff has Breakdown, Aftercare, and Distortion. Now, Breakdown is a pretty good perk to have simply to frustrate the killer as he attempts to rehook survivors. When you're unhooked from a meat hook, or you get yourself off, whichever, the hook will be sabotaged and unusable again for 180 seconds. And you also see the killer's aura for 6 seconds. If the killer is nearby and roaming or camping, patrolling to prevent survivors from saving you, this perk comes in handy so that you can see where the killer's coming from and ensure that if you're caught, he can't reuse the hook to get you or your allies. So very useful and just aggravating the killer. But as someone who plays the killer a lot, I don't like it when people aggravate me, so tit for tat. Aftercare is great for teamwork and team builds that focus on survivors keeping an eye on each other. Let's say that you're in a solo queue and you don't have any friends in the survivor team with you. This one comes in handy because you don't have to communicate with anyone. You can see them coming. With this perk, you can see the auras of any survivor who has either unhooked you or healed you, or if you would have unhooked them or healed them. In other words, you can see the auras of all survivors who you have performed altruistic actions on them or they on you. They also can see your aura. This perk encourages you to help your team, and by doing so, you keep an eye on them and can use that information that you have to assist a gen repair or to lead off the killer, to buy time for your teammates, whatever you need. What this perk provides is information as a thank you for altruism. So if you ever feel like, nope, I'm in it to win it for myself, no. If you have Aftercare, you'll want to work with the team. This is a good one to have. And then finally, Distortion. Probably my favorite perk of Jeff's. You start the trial with 3 tokens on this perk. Now, anytime the killer would see your aura, you spend 1 token from this perk, and not only is your aura hidden for 10 seconds, but you don't leave scratch marks for that 10 seconds as well. You can regain tokens for this perk by remaining in the killer's terror radius without being seen or chased for 30 seconds. This perk is very useful, and I find myself using it often, especially when killers ran perks like barbecue and chili, which turned out very helpful for me in the long run, though I still usually got caught in the in-game collapse. Go figure. But if you're running against an enemy who uses aura reading perks, like stuff that allows them to find you very quickly, this is a good perk to have on hand to help you hide a little bit better. All in all, Jeff's perks feel solid. All of them are pretty good. I can't think of one that absolutely annoyed me. I ended up running all 3 of them anytime I was playing Jeff, so it was actually kind of funny. Sometimes when I play a survivor or a killer for these videos, I run them with the 3 perks at first, but then I start taking out perks once I've used them once or twice just to get a feel for other stuff for that hero. But in this case, I kept all 3. I thought that all 3 were pretty good. And Jeff, overall, I think is a pretty good survivor. I think he's got a good win here. His design is a little funky. He looks like a mix between a biker and Jesus, but you know what? He looks cool. His lore is pretty good. It's pretty well written. It's not over the top. It's pretty relatable. It's something that I can understand and can kind of get behind. And his perks are, while not amazing, they're pretty helpful and pretty decent. Jeff's a pretty solid survivor. I can't quite say the same about the killer that came out with Jeff, but we will get to them later. That's right, it's not just one killer, although they all go by the same name, because they are many. Tune in next time, guys, as we go over one of the most controversial killers in Dead by Daylight, the Legion. But that is for next time in the fog. Take care.